Kepler's cosmological understanding was also off. He had some determinants from that. He was wrong about that. Kepler was wrong about the gravitational, accelerating planets around.
No, Kepler thought that was acoustics.
But so he was wrong about that. He didn't incorporate the velocity
can't he be wrong about this?
And the elliptical calculations. So he was wrong about that. It's later on when he dug into the elliptical calculations. He was like, oh. We see where you were trying to hide some things here. This is the truth. Why were you trying to hide the truth, Johannes Kepler? It's because I'm a religious person. I didn't want to. It's kind of like, in a way, inadvertently, he tested consensus. So that's what he did. He tested consensus inadvertently, because consensus is what determines if you're right or wrong, right? Because they put it through rigorous tests and rigorous analysis, more mind, right? To try to falsify your claims, and they did. They falsified it. Kepler had to end up saying, "Oh, okay." Right.
So when the consensus was wrong about Newtonian gravity, and then Einstein came along and they all laughed at him, was the consensus right then?
No, consensus wasn't involved in this Newtonian transition to Einstein.
No. When Einstein presented it, the consensus laughed at him. So the consensus does not always determine things. The consensus is almost always wrong.
Oh yeah, well the inverse. Yeah, I mean, you could say in a way that it's kind of happened the other direction with Einstein, but they ended up saying, "Oh shoot, Einstein was right." Yeah, sure. I mean, what's wrong with that? But this shows you how science works, and it's awesome, right? It goes through rigor, goes through testing. They may not hit it now, but they may hit it 10, 20, maybe even 50 years from now. Boom, you have the truth. I mean, that's how life is. That's what we expect.
Okay. So do you take back that you can test it through the consensus?
No, never take that back.
Okay, so you have two opposing beliefs. Okay.
It's not opposing. It's just.
Yeah, you said you concede the consensus is almost always wrong, but the few seconds, like around 20 seconds ago, you had said that the consensus you can test it through the consensus. How do those both work?
Well, I mean, there are prodigies in our world. There are singular forces in our world. Singular people who are like, "Whoa, guys, hey, well, all of what you guys are saying is wrong. I am right. Check this out." And they're like, "Yo, you're wrong. Sit down." And then eventually, it's like, "Oh shoot, that guy was right." And that happens all the time.
You can't test things through consensus. Do you not see that? That's like saying I can test my product on some unreliable machine that only works like 15% of the time.
Of course, you can test things through consensus. Consensus has resources, right? This consensus is groups of people coming together and looking at the information, right? That you need that. You can't, you know how many mistakes have been made because powerful people did something without consensus and it ended up being a disaster. There's lots of examples of that in society. So we
and there's even more examples of people who things when they did trust the consensus and then they ended up to be disaster. So
rarely.
Wow, okay. You're welcome to believe that.
Rarely. Two minds are...
As I said before, you never concede to anything, even the simplest things. Because you're just proud.
Rarely. Consensus gets it wrong. Rarely.
Rarely. Consensus gets it wrong? Wow. Okay. So when the consensus was that the Earth was flat and stationary, was that wrong?
Yes, it was wrong.
And when the consensus was that God created the world, was that wrong?
No, it wasn't wrong because the rules, God created the rules for the universe. I mean, no one has dispelled God. No one. There are no one on record saying, "Yo, God is not involved in creating things." Nobody's on record saying that.
Whoa. Okay. So the entire evolution Big Bang has a God?
Evolution does not exclude God. I mean, why would evolution exclude God? Why?
It doesn't. It doesn't. But but the people are trying to promote the idea of no God.
No, that's not what they're trying to do. They're just giving you the evidence.
No, people nowadays...
You evolved from a thing, right? You just did.
I evolved from a thing. I just did, even though you can never provide a single example of it. Provide me a single example of... You provide a simple example of macroevolution, not micro. I don't know fossils, no anything. Fossils are not evidence for anything that something turned into something else. Show me something evolving into something else. Macroevolution, not microevolution.
What have you never heard about how scientists observe evolution real time?
I know it all. Okay. Yeah, like they made a whole creature from a tooth, and the tooth ended up being from a pig. Yeah, that's facts. Maybe you should do your research more.
No, I'm talking about evolution. I'm not talking about the...
Evolution is that. They made a half-evolved creature that was part monkey, part man. And they made it from one tooth. One tooth. And then later on, the tooth was tested and found to be from a type of pig. So, if you call that science, well...
That's possible.
Do you know that it's promoted in textbooks as proof for evolution now? Even though it was proven to be wrong, they're still teaching it in textbooks. Same with
proven to be wrong. What is it you're talking about?
They're proved to be wrong. It was tested and found to be from a pig.
DNA is a fundamental macro structure, molecular structure of all organic material, right? So if you have the DNA, theoretically, you can create or culture an organism, right?
Well, they tested the tooth and found it was a pig. From a pig.
Well, you've heard about genetic engineering, where they can remove certain pairs from the DNA, insert others, right? So if I insert a pair from a duck inside of the DNA of a man, you will probably either get a duck, or you might get a man, or you may get something completely different, right?
Your excuses, man. Wow. Not a very good one, though.
Well, it's just that's so
They tested it, and you just appealed the possibilities. So it could be something else. It could have been this, even though the evidence shows it. Okay, any evidence for your cool story that... Any evidence for the cool story you just invoked?
Oh, you mean inserting DNA pairs inside?
Any evidence of a pig that happened to that tooth that was clearly a pig tooth, that they engineered an entire part human, part monkey from it, and then tested it and found it to be a pig? Any evidence that your cool story is true?
It's probably true, but
it's probably probably true because I believe evolution. It's my religion.
It's probably true. The point is, evolution does not exclude God. God can.
Don't divert. I know you're trapped here.
So that is just the fact of the matter. Humans do not know everything. Are you under the impression that humans know everything?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to make you stay on topic.
Well, you change the subject.
Any evidence for the cool story?
Are you going to get back to the topic of evolution?
Any evidence for your cool story that you said it's probably true? Even though I have no evidence for it, but it must be true because I have a religion.
Religion? Religion?
Yeah, it is a religion because you're just appealing to possibilities. You have no evidence for that thing you just stated.
Dude, you're saying
it's a cool story. That's all.
God is the creator of all things, right? That's religious. You know that, right? Well, why are you attacking other people?
Do you know what? You don't know what religion means.
Oh, really?
Okay, you don't know what religious is.
Yes, I know what religious is.
Religious is a blind belief.
Blind?
Blind, yes. You have a religion, so basically it's unfalsifiable. You made it unfalsifiable. Where, even if all evidence shows it, it must be something else. It has to be.
Yeah, I would not.
Any evidence for your culture?
I would not invoke the word blind. I would say religious is based on believing, right? Believing. So you believe God created all things. You are religious.
And you believe an explosion created all things.
You believe evolution.
You believe
because God is God. That's what you say. So you
believe that an explosion created everything.
You believe
it. You can't replicate it.
I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I have evidence.
Yes, you believe an explosion created everything. You believe it.
I believe an explosion created everything.
Do you think that there's an explosion that caused everything to start forming?
Have you ever looked at the Big Bang equations?
Yeah.
Okay, the Big Bang equations has caveats.
Oh, great! Another diversion.
The existence of primordial energy. So, what is this primordial energy? What was you understand me? So the Big Bang is allowing for an antecedent to it. What are you see? You guys are under this impression that the Big Bang was the start of everything. Who told you that?
Okay, then what was the start? What was the very, very start?
Scientists don't know.
So, do you just concede that at the very beginning, there had to have been, like, what was the first thing that was created, and how did it start? Like, what caused the first thing?
Look at the Big Bang equation. There is a little symbol. I was like, what is that? Well, there is an energy, right? Like, what is it? Energy.
Where did energy come from?
Well, for now, because of the size of the universe, the rate of expansion, the mass, and all these kind of things, we have a number that we can apply to this thing, right? So, and that's cool. What is this thing, right? That is what.
No, where did the energy come from?
Where the what?
Where did the energy come from?
I didn't hear your question.
What did the energy come from?
Stop listening to these conspiracy theories and really just.
I have not listened to any conspiracy theories to draw this conclusion. The Big Bang is ridiculous, and simply by basic logic, I'm asking, okay, where did this come from? Where did the energy come from?
Why is the Big Bang ridiculous? What are you talking about?
Where did the energy come from?
We don't know.
Yeah. So where wherever the energy came from, where did that come from? And wherever that came from, where did that come from?
Are you under the impression that
you eventually have to go to something where there had to be something that was always there. So you believe that it's some sort of materialistic thing. I say, yeah, there's a God. But now, can we get back to your cool story that you invoked?
Robert, really quick, I have a question, like a real question. You know, like when you look at the Big Bang, like math and things like that, it says, like, you know, how matter and antimatter annihilate it. And then, you know, the end result of that is the release of protons, which would be light. You know, you have these biblical references that have scientific parallels. Do you find anything there, or is that like kind of reaching for connection?
Who, me?
I'm talking to Robert. I don't know if you can answer if you want, but if Robert, because he knows
I
the
do have to get going. But
you know, you're making my point. There are some parallels to religion, right? There is some parallel. That's what I tried to say to him. That if you look at the CDM, for example, the CDM model, right? If you look at the model, that equation, that there are question marks, placeholders that can. Some of them have quantified value, quantification, right? And therefore, this is what it's telling you is that there are things scientists don't know. But the result from the CDM model is the Big Bang, right? So before, what was that? Who knows? We don't have a full explanation, but we know that what from there emerged this, and that is, and we can observe it, we can test it, we can measure, we can do all kind of wonderful things with this. But what was before this? That is still the question.
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm saying is like it's you're kind of arguing towards like facts and evidence and things, but it's against a wall of cognitive dissonance, because earlier you kind of heard what he said. You know, evolution does disprove God, or they try to take God out of it. You know, Big Bang, try to take God out of it. They're always trying to insert an agent there, and when you don't do that, you're not going to get through to them.
No one's trying to take God out of it.
I agree.
They're just using the evidence. That's only what they care about. So they may not believe in God. That's them, but they're never going to say God doesn't exist. They're just going to bring up their evidence and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you're going to say evolution does not dispel God. It doesn't in any way, shape, or form.